So the concept of margin of error is a little confusing, and I think that mainly has to do with the fact that in everyday life, the phrase margin of error is used very differently than how we will use it in statistics. Now, to fully understand what margin of error is, we're going to have to wait until chapter 9 to talk about hypothesis testing. We will to dig deep into the actual definition and the idea behind the margin of error. For now, let's just focus on how to calculate it. All right, and you will get a sense of what it is right now. But some of the parts or some of the components we will talk in more detail come chapter 9. All right. So to begin margin of error, first we need to discuss what a confidence level is. All right, so a confidence level is simply let's call this the confidence level, CL equals 1 minus alpha, right, times 100%. Okay, now what is alpha? Alpha equals the critical level. Okay, alpha is going to be key. Okay, again, we're going to wait until chapter 9 to really talk about what alpha is. Okay, but for now, right, right, this is the confidence level. So for example, right, a 95% confidence level, right, we'll have alpha of 0.05. Okay, because I just take 95%, this is the equivalent of 0.95, and then so how do you get 0.95? Well, you take 1 minus alpha of 0.05, you get 0.95, and thus you get 95% confidence confidence level. Okay. Now, a confidence level is how sure we are. It basically means how confident or how sure we are that this estimate will contain the true average. Okay, it's a level. It represents a level of confidence that the interval contains mu, right? Because this is a interval estimate for mu, and so when we construct a 95% confidence level, right, we are 95% sure that this interval has mu in it. Okay. Now, what would this confidence interval look like? Okay, and so now we're gonna switch away from the phrase interval estimate to confidence interval. So, but they mean the same thing. But now we're just gonna strictly using this term confidence interval, right, of a population mean. So confidence interval, the strict form, it will look like this. It will be x bar minus e for margin of error, right, comma x bar plus e, the margin of error. So a couple things is centers at x bar. Okay, that's that x bar is to be the center of the confidence interval, and the width, right, and the width, right, is determined by the margin of error. Right, so the width equals 2 times e. Right, so it's center at x bar, you minus e and you plus e. Okay, so now what is a margin of error? Okay, so it provides a lower and upper bound of the interval at a specific level of confidence. So how do I calculate this margin of error? So again, margin of error is just the capital letter E, and margin of error equals the critical value times, right, the standard error of x bar. So this is something that we talked about already from chapter 7. Okay, all right. So now we're gonna so the next part we're gonna talk deeply about what critical value is. Okay, but CV just means critical value. Okay, all right. So as a simple example, all right, suppose that CV equals 1.96. Okay, I'm just picking these numbers, making these numbers up, and then your standard error for x bar equals 13. Okay, now this is something that we will calculate, right, from our sample statistic. okay? And then x bar equals 25. Okay, then in that case, right, what is our E? Our E will equal 1.96 times 13, which equals 25.48. Okay, and then now we can construct a confidence interval. So our confidence interval is, right, 25 minus 25.48, comma 25 plus 25.48, and simplify this into this. Okay, and so we will say, right, this, right, this is a, a confidence interval for mu. And let's take a look at the formula for the margin of error again. The formula for margin of error equals the critical value times, right, the standard error, standard error of x bar. Okay. Now, critical value is determined. It determines, right, the how large margin of error is. Right. The higher the margin of error, right, then the larger the critical value, then the larger the margin of error, and therefore that gives you a wider interval. Okay, so I just want to make that connection as we keep going, as we discuss more about the critical value. So the note here is that the larger the critical value, right, then the larger E is the margin of error, and then that leads to the wider the interval. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, this is going to be something important come a little bit later. Okay, now let's talk about critical value. But before we do that, we need to introduce the t-distribution.